Welcome, everybody. Welcome back. If you're a returning agent to our webinar series, if you're new, thank you for joining us here in week 3. We appreciate everything and had some nice follow-ups through the week here with some specific cases that agents have called in on. So I appreciate that, and we'll continue to help you the best way we can. Going to kind of cover just 2 basics today. I feel like we're going to kind of narrow in on some things as far as what would pertain to potential clients that you already have in your filing cabinet, so to speak. So hopefully we'll be able to trigger some thoughts today and kind of give you a little more direction on the product type that would fit your particular client. So anyway, we'll get rolling here. So the first one we'll talk about a lot of times is referred to as a MYGA, which is a multi-year guaranteed annuity. Some people would refer to it as a fixed rate annuity. And again, these are going to be very basic, very general bullet points here. But in essence, a multi-year guaranteed annuity, a MYGA, offers guaranteed rates. Okay, so that, whether it's a 3%, 4%, 5%, whatever the percent is, those are going to be guaranteed rates for a set period of time. So largely, what you'll see in the MYGA space, they're usually offered from a 1 year, which sometimes is referred to as a window annuity, which are oftentimes in we'll call it a 5-year chassis, where it would allow me to get out after 1 year if I so desire. Those have their spots for sure. And then we've written them all the way to 10 years, where people are very attracted to the rates that are especially pretty high right now. And they thought, just lock me in for that rate for the next 10 years, and I'm good with that. So again, largely from 1 year to 10 years, typically the sweet spot is, generally speaking, a 3 to 5 year program. That's what we write the most of in the MYGA space. And if I had to drill down even farther, I would say the 5-year is the most popular. So again, a set rate, set period of time. The 4th bullet point there, typically, your MYGAs are going to have a better yield than bank CDs. Seems like a MYGA, and it can be rolled with qualified money, but it seems like MYGAs seems like they're a lot of bank money, and particularly CDs. The big difference, and we'll have a sheet here towards the end of the presentation, but one of the bigger differences is when you're talking to a person that has CDs, the advantage of a MYGA is that we will have tax deferred growth. So I don't have to take the interest out like I do in CDs. That can just stay in there, and then it's going to grow tax deferred. One thing, and I don't have it on there as a bullet point, but things over the years have evolved with MYGAs. You'll see some of our MYGAs, as you drill in on specific companies and product in general, will have things built in like interest. I can get to my interest, or a 10% free withdrawal after year 1, or a full account value at death. Okay, so some of our MYGAs will have those things baked into them. But what you're seeing too in some of the product line with companies' offerings is they'll offer those kind of things a la carte. In other words, they'll take some of the interest and basis points away to give you the opportunity to get your interest, or for a 10% free withdrawal, or whatever it might be. So sometimes there's products out there that will reward the person for no frills. In other words, I don't need the interest to take out. I don't need any free withdrawals. So they'll reward you for that. And the company, knowing that they're going to hold your money a little bit longer with nothing coming out. Some of the companies will let you deduct just a few basis points off of the base rate to get those kind of features. So those are things to consider. And that's, again, when agents are exploring these things that we can discuss and make sure we're putting your client in the right one. So the next one is just referred to as an FIA, which is a fixed indexed annuity. These are a little bit different. And I had an agent in my office yesterday, and because I always talk about, if an agent has never written an annuity, I really like starting them out with a MYGA because it's pretty vanilla. It's set rate, set period of time, easy to understand. So when you get into the fixed indexed annuities, there's some different things that you would need to know. But like this agent said yesterday, really there's not a lot to the fixed indexed if you really learn really what they're about and stick with two or three of the indices that are offered on these. But fixed indexed FIAs, they largely range, and I got up here from 5 to 10 years. We have some that'll go 14, 15 years as well. I've seen a little bit of a trend here in the last probably 2 months. We have a couple carriers that offer 5-year FIAs. So if I'm just kind of sticking my toes into the FIA area as a client or an agent, knowing that the surrender time for 5 years, I can get out of this thing if I want to, they feel good about that. Others that are in the FIA, maybe they're coming from other market experiences. They're good with a 10-year, a 14-year, a 15-year. So most of the ones that we see, probably the sweet spot is 7 to 10 years. That might have something to do with the ages that we usually see clients on writing these. Maybe typically the FIA market is, I've retired and I'm leaving my 401k, I need to roll it over somewhere. So anyway, a lot of them seem to be written into 7 to 10. So FIAs, depending on the carrier, have indexing options, okay, such as you'll see on the screen there is the S&P 500. There might be 2, 3, 4 things that are associated with the S&P 500, okay? But then there's all these other indexes like Barclays, Ravenpack. There's different ones. So the best thing I can tell you when you first start exploring these, and I know a lot of our top agents, they like a fixed rate indice, so to speak, fixed interest rate. But then they like the S&P 500 because most of your clients know about the S&P 500. The S&P 500 typically performs very, very nicely. I don't know what the current stat is, but if you take their over the last 30 years, you're probably looking at a 10% return typically. So that's very attractive as well. So fixed index, I know we're not drilling down a lot on these right now, but they are an option. Many of your clients like it. I will say this, a selling point, I think we hit in a prior webinar, but on a fixed indexed annuity, I cannot lose money unless there's a fee involved, and very, very few of ours have fees from the company. So you saw the market probably the past 2 weeks has taken a pretty good hit. So the upside on a FIA, a fixed index annuity, even though I'm tied into the market, such as the S&P 500, at the end of the day, if I've lost money in my 401k, if I have this vehicle and FIA, I can't lose money. So even though there's a negative number produced, my number at the end of my time, my anniversary, would be a 0 sometimes. So the terminology everybody likes to use in that, 0 is my hero, which I'm not sure that that's good. It is if you're associated with a 401k that has taken a big hit in the market here these last couple of weeks. So anyway, that's very, very brief as we advance onto these. Again, I like people starting with the MYGAs if you've never written one, but you can, so to speak, graduate into these fixed index, but then you're going to have clients that really this is a better fit for them. Okay, our next slide. This is a flyer that I believe we'll provide to you as a follow-up from our slides and what we always do for you. So if you take a close look at this, where the FIA and MYGA have in common. So if you go right in the middle, starting with growth potential. So they both offer growth potential. General term, but they will both offer you that, or the client that. Both of these vehicles, these product lines, will be tax deferred growth. Both of them, and again, it kind of depends on the MYGA, whether it has these built in or not, but typically speaking, they're both let you have access to the funds in a form of free withdrawals. The big selling point is protection of the principal. So we've seen the market get hit a little bit, and some of the clients that we know are really upset about that, worried about that. They're 70 years old. Man, oh man, I just lost 50,000 in the market. Well, they should probably be thinking maybe in terms of protection at this point where they can't afford, God forbid, another 9/11 or something that would take a lot of years to get back to where I was with my 401k. So that these kind of vehicles, these insurance product, the MYGA, the FIA, will offer your clients some peace of mind, protection of their principal. So a very, very big offering, selling point, if you will. And then, both of it at the end of the day, you're talking about wealth transfer, which kind of goes in hand with the preservation of this. So moving over to the left of the FIA, which is, you're off of them. These are not shared qualities. So the FIA, which we've talked about, generally it's a longer commitment. So again, we've seen some popularity on the 5-year FIAs, but typically 5, 7, 10, or 14 or 15. So a little bit longer commitment typically. Another difference is that I can allocate funds to a fixed interest rate, or there's going to be, depending on the company, a variety of index crediting strategies, such as what we just hit on the S&P 500. Here's a big thing to understand. I know some agents don't get in the weeds, so to speak, with their client on this, but it's very important that on the FIAs, the fixed interest rate guaranteed is for one policy year. Okay. So if they're offering on their, let's say, a 10-year FIA, if they're offering a fixed rate of 5%, the company can change that after 1 year. Okay. You always talk about the integrity of renewals, and we have some carriers that have been fantastic with that. So, but just because I'm getting 5% on this 10-year FIA in year one, the company can change it the next year if they would like, just like they can change the number of what the percentage is on participation rates and caps. So each anniversary year, the company can change those. They can move the goalpost on on the negative part of it. The good companies, the integrity of their renewals, outstanding, and they don't move the goalpost. Okay, but with the movement of the goalpost, each anniversary year, the client also has a opportunity to change their allocations. So just kind of staying with the screen here, what I've been talking about, maybe I put 50% of my money in the fixed interest rate in year one, and I put the other 50% in the S&P 500. So let's just call it annual point to point. So at the end of my anniversary, my first anniversary year, and each anniversary, I can change. So now I don't like that S&P 500. I'm going to move everything into the fixed account, or maybe I'm going to go to the Barclays account or whatever. I can change my game plan as well. Even the insurance company can change their participation rates, caps, fixed rates. I can also change my allocation. So each anniversary year, you can do that. Some people don't touch it. They just leave it alone. A big thing on the FIAs is I'm participating in market gains. So I'm getting the joy, the reward when the market does really, really well without any downside risk. So again, we're talking about if there's negative numbers at the end of my anniversary year, I've got one of these personally, I could get a 0 in that particular area. And the option, and this is kind of a big one here, the option to add additional premium. So adding some more money as it came in after the initial purchase. So most of our annuities on the FIA will allow that for up to 12 months. Typically that money, if there's additional funds, after that initial fund, if there's any additional funds, that has to go into the fixed account. Okay, there's not going to be, I can't put it in the S&P 500. So I rolled my 401k over, it had 100,000 on it, qualified money. So then I had another qualified account down the road maybe that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to move this one too. after 5 months. So I put it into this established FIA that I already have. All that money would have to go into the fixed account. So you do have the opportunity there, though, to add money to it. If it's non-qualified, which I know we hit on these things last week. So I had a CD come due in April. So that 50,000 is coming into this FIA. I got another one that's coming due in December. I want to add it to the same FIA. I can do that. Okay, I can do that, but then again, it has to go into the fixed bucket on that. Okay, so now shifting over to just the MYGA, that this is not what you're getting in a fixed index. Typically, what you're looking at is a shorter commitment. I've got up there 2, 3, 5 years. We do have the window opportunity where it's a 1 year guaranteed fixed interest rate for that period of time that your client signs up for. So if I bought a 5-year MYGA, I'm going to have that 5%, 5.2%, whatever my rate is, guaranteed for those 5 years. So unlike the FIA, which I just told you, that can change after a year. With the MYGAs, that commitment is fixed rate, set amount of time. These can be tailored to fit your needs, and that's kind of what I touched on with the a la carte theory, where I can add riders. Okay, I want to get my interest, and this product has a rider to allow me to do that. In other words, it's not included. I can put that on there. Or I want a 10% free withdrawal, or I want full account value at death, whatever it might be. Then a lot of times we can tailor that to meet your client's needs. That last one, yeah, you get a little bit lower rate, kind of what we alluded to there. So now it's always like figuring out what's right for your client, and that's where we can talk about it. You'll catch on to this real quickly, but that's why we like to learn about our client, kind of what the goal is, so to speak. This is just generally speaking, so that this is not set in stone, but just kind of some characteristics, what we've seen over the past couple decades, I guess. But typically, and again, not exclusive to these characteristics, but an older client or somebody that's looking just for a guarantee. Oh boy, that S&P and all that stuff you're talking about, that's not for me. I want to know, if I put this 100,000 in, what is it going to look like in 5 years? So the older person, the ones that are looking for guarantee, maybe is already in the bank, so to speak, probably moving them towards the MYGA. Set rate, set period of time, easy to understand, easy to illustrate, show them to the penny what they're going to get at the end of that time frame. Sometimes you're going to have a client, and I've seen these a lot, like newly retired people that have the 401k, that have watched it closely, that see the big jumps. They've also seen the bite of the market take some out of their accounts. But you're talking to them about MYGA, set rate, set period of time, but say a 3%, 5% just doesn't do much for them. Okay, so that might be the client that would lean towards a fixed index where they could get potential double-digit return on their money, maybe like they were accustomed to in some years with their 401k. If you have a client, third bullet point, oh boy, I hate, I've got this in savings or money market. I know I can get it when I want. You said annuity, that's how long again? So they don't want a long period of time. That might be the time to introduce the window annuity to them, where they can escape or get out of that contract after a 1 year or a 2 year, if it's a 2-year window annuity. And then the last bullet point, again, generally speaking, they're retiring. They want some growth for a few years, and then they want a steady income, which we have some nice products that have income riders on it. So that would be, to me, an FIA with an income rider. We have a couple carriers that do not have fees for the income rider. Most carriers do have a fee for that income rider. Some basics here, you'll run into it. Clients that they love CDs, maybe some of the older clients, boy, I've had these CDs have been awful good. I'm getting my 2%, 4%, whatever it is. So just kind of looking at the comparison, and you'll have this sheet as well. This is kind of a leave behind, and I won't go through everything on this, but you can see the main topics: safety, timeline, interest, tax saving, liquidity, maturity. This is a nice little handout, like a leave behind for your client that really is studying this, that is used to their CD. And it's kind of hard to pull them off of their CD because, they're loyal to the bank. I got my own money in the bank and this kind of thing. So this might be a thing that you could utilize to kind of get in there a little bit and to show them the comparisons with all these things. Okay. Well, I want to go to our website before we get to the Q&A. We've had some outstanding Q&A. I just want to show you real quick. This is our website. So this is our homepage on our website. All right. Some of you already know this. Some of you do not. So when you're contracted with us, there's going to be some areas of our website that you can get into, so to speak. But what I want to direct you to for what we're kind of talking about today, and just kind of show you real quickly, but go to products, and then you see all the things we do. But obviously today we're talking about annuities. So I'm clicking annuities, and now you're going to see some of our carriers as he kind of scrolls down from Allianz. I guess these are obviously alphabetical. So a lot of our carriers are going to be on there. So if I stop right there, this just say one of our carriers that we use a lot on the MYGA space is Heartland National. So if I just went over to Heartland National and I click that, that'll tell me a little bit about them. It'll give me some of the highlights. There's the map. They're not in every single state, for instance, but it'll give me an overview, and I can kind of drill down on some of the things there for Heartland. Okay. And each carrier that we have, you're going to find this kind of thing. All right. It's for any of these that you click, you're going to have this kind of opportunity. All right. If we move back up, okay, across the top here on these orange or yellow, I'm colorblind, Jason, but these are some opportunities where you can find out about e-apps. Okay. If you click this, and I'm not going to spend much time on this, but if you click the e-apps, there's going to be some guides there that would help you. Most carriers use Firelight. They all look the same now. So we'll back up. So then I can go to fact finders. Maybe I'm in the beginning stages that, I'm trying to figure out what this client has, what assets. So we have some carriers that will do this for you. You may tailor it for your own needs. You may just use the client needs assessment. But if you really want to drill down, we have that available. We'll back up again. Interest rates. So we keep these up to date on our website for MYGAs. So if Jason hit the current rates and you're contracted with us, you would have access to this. So now I can, like right now, this one's highlighted by term, as you can see at the top. So it's going to start with the shortest term on up to, say, the 10-year. I could go with rate or any of those across the top there to filter this, I guess is the word I want to use, to actually get to where I want to get to real quick. So just another nice thing. Yep. You can hit and you can get to a lot of places. So when you're contracted with a company, you can actually, and Jason stopped right there, but the carrier websites, you can get to their portals as well from our website. But, obviously you would have to have your portal set up with that particular carrier. But Jason and his team have done a magnificent job of really putting things here in front of you and making it user friendly, which is I like, and just a lot of opportunities to get a lot of information right at your fingertips and do a lot of the shopping for you and organizing for you here right on our webpage. Product fact sheets, again, it's kind of repetitive, but now you can, like, Athene is a big one for us for FIAs. I can get right on there. The Performance Elite is one that we've used frequently. So, and then you can get, obviously, if I'm licensed with Athene, I can get right on their website, get some marketing materials, get a lot of information. But what I'm trying to tell you is that we have organized this on our website to help you to where I don't have to start going to a lot of different individual websites. I can reach all of them from our website. So it's really a good job by Jason and his team, Rebecca and everybody. So we duly appreciate that, but just something to bring to your attention. So now, Jason, if we have any Q&A.
Okay, Kenyatta asks, what is the minimum amount to start one?
There's typically speaking, on most carriers, $10,000 is the minimum amount. We'll have a one that might be 5,000. So, with your MYGAs, you're talking about a single premium, obviously. Most of the carriers are going to be 10,000.
Okay, Kirk asks, can you add a link for this illustration? And he's referring to the MYGA versus CD sheet. Yes, Kirk, we will send that out in a follow-up email. And I know somebody else asked about the recording. Yes, we'll send all of that out afterwards. What is the client perspective when presenting carriers with less than A ratings? Is this something you experience, or do they kind of push past the rating of B?
Yeah, great question. And some more savvy clients, I guess, that rating means a lot. Okay. And some agents, that rating means a lot. We, over the past 23 years, have represented, we've had one non-rated carrier, had great experience with. It was a fraternal, fantastic run, never any problems, all the way up to A plus. So currently you'll see in our stable, we have from B to A plus carriers. So I don't, and this is my personal, I don't fight that because we are independent as you are independent. So if that means a lot, so let's just say an A plus rated carrier has a 4.6% 5-year MYGA rate, which you're going to find typical. The A plus rated carriers will probably have a slightly lower rate than say a B plus carrier or a B plus plus carrier. Just personally speaking, I don't fight that. If the rating means more to them than the interest rate, obviously we're independent. We give it to them. I mean, if that's what that means a lot to them, there is a guarantee fund that you guys can explore. Typically, each state insures those insurance company up to $250,000. Sometimes there's security in that, but the bottom line for me is even like when agents want to debate that with me, there's no debate with me. You then go get Athene at A plus versus Heartland at B plus plus. So that's how I approach it.
Okay, so can you explain what the window annuity feature is, and is this option for both MYGAs and FIAs?
Not for FIAs. We have a carrier in particular that has this option. So most of these would be built in a 5-year annuity, okay? But they offer a lesser rate that allows me to get out at my anniversary date on year one. So when my anniversary date comes up, typically I have 30 days to tell that carrier, yeah, I want out, or I'm going to move my money to XYZ carrier or whatever it is. I have that option after 1 year. Or I may say, you know what? Just go ahead and keep me in that, and I'm going to stay in that for the next 4 years with your annuity. And then they're going to give you a little bit better rate because you're going to stay with them for years 2, 3, 4, and 5. So really a window annuity is, I don't know if escape is the right word, but it gives you the opportunity to leave that particular annuity. Obviously, you're going to start out with a lesser rate because that's the trade-off on this. But most carriers, one in particular, you're going to have 30 days to make that decision on your anniversary.
Okay, next question. Are there other annuities besides MYGAs and FIAs, or do they all fall under those two categories?
Yeah, for us, it's going to be those two categories, but there's variable annuities. We aren't licensed. Those are your securities licensed people. We don't handle those. Those are the ones that can be your roller coaster. Those are the ones that can have a dirty name, a bad name for your clients that, oh my gosh, I had a variable annuity. I lost a lot of money on that thing. So we do MYGAs and we do FIAs only. If there are no more questions, I just want to tell everybody, be here next week. We're going to have an agent that started out writing 0 annuities, and he's evolved each and every year. Supp guy. Now he's writing over 10 million a year in annuities. So I've asked him to come on to our webinar to share some of his things. He's in the trenches. He's going to talk about some of the the things that come up during an appointment. But I think you're going to find it extremely beneficial to hear from an agent that was in your shoes right now, perhaps. And he's going to talk to you during our next webinar about his experiences and kind of his approach to things. And then that last webinar on week 5, we're going to introduce a program, and I'm not going to tell you a lot about it right now, but it's going to be I'm just going to say it's going to be a training type program that will still get you commissions. So that's my teaser for week 5. Week 4 next week, an agent that's in your shoes, doing extremely well. And then week 5, we'll close it up with some kind of a recap, and then a program that will allow you to earn commissions while you're being trained. Okay. Thank you guys for coming to the webinar again. If you have any questions through the week, please feel free to email me, call me at your convenience, and we're here to help. Thanks again.